This instructional video is to be used only as a training aid. It is not intended as a replacement for the operating instructions or repair manuals. Installation operations should be performed by properly trained personnel. Before beginning any no-blow installation or repair procedure, be sure to read, understand, and follow the operating instructions in the manual. And remember, always use genuine Mueller parts and always use the appropriate safety equipment. This video training module will illustrate the installation or repair procedures using Mueller Company's H-17500 service tee.
The Mueller no-blow service tee consists of the following: a body machined from a solid steel forging, a bronze completion plug, a cast iron completion cap. It is available in sizes 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/4 inch, and 2 inch, with a variety of options for the inlet and outlet connections. The maximum pressure rating of this tee is 250 psi. The rating can be increased to 1440 psi by ordering an optional steel completion cap in place of the cast iron cap. Before beginning any tee installation, the proper toolkit must be selected. To do this, 3 things must be known: the size and style of the tee, the drilling machine being used, the type of valve or control chamber that will be used. Knowing this, the appropriate toolkit can be selected from the Mueller Gas Products catalog. In this demonstration, the Mueller E5 machine will be used with the H-17025 control chamber while working on the 1-inch H-17500 service tee. Based on this setup, toolkit number 7 is required. Mueller has 8 basic procedures that are recommended for any tee installation. They are: read, understand, and follow the instructions given in the operating manual. Clean the main. Attach the tee. Test for leakage. Set up the equipment on the tee. Perform the drilling operation. Insert the completion plug. Install the completion cap. Following these steps, first thoroughly clean the main of dirt and burrs for a smooth surface on which to weld the tee. Before doing any welding, remove the cast iron cap and bronze completion plug from the tee. The welding can often be made easier by welding the service line to the tee above ground. Extend the service line to the first shutoff point and close the valve. Now, weld the tee to the main. Mueller recommends that the test cap be on the tee during the welding operation. It serves 4 functions. It protects the outside threads from weld splatter. It allows the hot welding gases to escape through the hole in the cap. It keeps the tee from warping, and it provides a way to connect a pressure source to the tee after it is air-cooled to test the welds for leaks. Once the welds are tested, use the H-17615 center punch on the main to give the drill a true start on the top of the pipe. We are now ready to bring this tee into service by drilling the main. The H-17025 control chamber has a maximum working pressure of 125 psi. It has a bronze body which contains a quick-opening, self-aligning, pressure-sealed flop valve. The valve handle clearly indicates the open or closed position of the flop valve and contains a thumb screw for securing the valve in these positions. The control chamber has a bypass relief valve used to equalize pressure above and below the flop valve to make opening easy. The bypass relief valve also permits expelling the gas inside the machine before it is removed. The valve also provides a way to test connections for pressure tightness. The control chamber comes with 3 bottom bushings for different sized tees. 1 inch, 1 1/4 inch, and 1 1/2 inch to fit different sizes of tees. There are optional bushings available in 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch sizes. Bushings are easily changed by removing the set screw and using the spanner wrench to unthread the bushing from the control chamber. A totally contained O-ring makes a positive seal between the chamber body and bushing. Features of the control chamber offer these advantages over the commonly used bronze gate valve. Control chamber parts are field replaceable. Those of the bronze gate are not. One chamber can fit 5 sizes of tees. A bronze gate fits only 1 size of tee. A bypass relief valve is available on the control chamber. It is not available on the bronze gate valve. Before starting the drilling operation, check to be sure the control chamber is securely installed on the tee, that the flop valve is open, and that the bypass relief valve is in the bypass position. Also, make sure the drill is clean and free of dirt and debris, especially at the cutting edges. This can be done by honing the leading edges before each use. Thread the combined drill and holder into the right-hand threads at the end of the drilling machine's boring bar. Wrench tight. Apply cutting grease on the end of the drill and retract the drill into the body of the machine. Place the machine on top of the control chamber and tighten it. Do not use a pipe wrench on the machine. The serrated jaws will damage the machine. Smooth-jawed, adjustable wrenches for this purpose are provided with the machine. Lower the drill until it contacts the main. Engage the feed yoke above the thrust collar and secure it into place with the pivot arm and thumb screw. Raise the drill off the main slightly by turning the feed tube approximately 1/4 turn in a counterclockwise direction. This gives the tool a true start and allows the drill to start turning before cutting into the main. It also keeps the drill from starting in a bind. The E5 machine has a recommended cutting ratio of 10:1. This means 10 full turns using the ratchet handle to 1 full turn of the yoke handle. If the yoke is fed too fast, the drill may bind and you risk breakage. A light, slow feed is best. There is no set travel distance to monitor. It will be obvious when the drill penetrates the main because the yoke will turn freely. Once drilling through the main has been completed, the machine chamber and tee will be under full line pressure. Mueller recommends using the feed yoke to retract the drill by leaving it engaged with the boring bar, turning the yoke in a counterclockwise direction. This will allow the operator to keep the boring bar under control so that piston action cannot cause it to snap upward and possibly cause a serious injury. Once the drill is raised above the flop valve, close the flop valve and lock it in position with a thumb screw. This will prevent accidental opening of the flop valve. Turn the bypass relief valve to the relieve position, which will expel the pressure from the upper section of the control chamber and the machine body. Remove the machine and unthread the drill from the boring bar. Clean and hone the drill so it will be ready for the next use and store properly. Next, the completion plug will be inserted into the service tee. To insert the plug, use the E5 machine with the EZ Release inserting tool. The EZ Release tool consists of an upper section or nut, lower section called the shank, and a set of forks. The nut and shank are held together by coarse Acme threads, which allow easy separation and removal of the tool once the plug has been secured into the tee. The shank has threads on the bottom to which the completion plug attaches. Check the condition of all the threads on the tool and plug. Thread the nut onto the boring bar, wrench tight. Thread the plug onto the shank threads all the way. Then back off until the forks can engage over the flats of the plug. The forks are held in place by a ball detent. Now thread the shank and plug onto the nut. Hand tighten only, so the two sections will separate after securing the plug. Retract the boring bar to the rearmost position and attach it to the control chamber and tighten. Turn the bypass relief valve to the bypass position, equalizing pressure above and below the flop valve. The boring bar will now be under full line pressure, making it necessary to control piston action. Open the flop valve fully. And secure it in position. Attach the feed yoke and lock the pivot arm thumb screw. Turn the yoke clockwise to lower the boring bar until the completion plug contacts the inside threads of the T. Thread the plug into the T by rotating the ratchet handle and feed yoke in a clockwise direction. Snug the plug into the T. Do not apply a significant amount of torque on the machine and tool, because this could cause the forks or the insertion tool to break. Turn the bypass relief valve to the relieve position and relieve the gas pressure. This will also allow the plug tightness to be checked by using the relief valve to listen for escaping gas. If there is no flow, reverse the ratchet dog, disengage the feed yoke, pick up the slack and strike the ratchet handle sharply. Then turn the ratchet handle counterclockwise. Pull the boring bar to its uppermost position and remove the machine. The nut of the inserting tool is still attached to the boring bar. Remove it. Now remove the control chamber. The shank and fork are still attached to the plug. Do not remove them until after the final tightening of the completion plug. Leave the shank threaded into the plug to support the soft brass wall of the plug. Lift the forks and tighten the plug using a smooth-jawed wrench. Remove the lower section of the EZ release tool. Apply non-hardening pipe thread sealant on the outside T-threads and place the completion cap over the threads. Tighten the cap wrench tight and test the entire fitting for leaks. We have installed a new service using the H-17500T and the E5 machine. This was done in a safe and controlled manner with no blowing of gas. The no-blow service T allows for repairs or complete replacement of the service line at any time. This can be done by making a positive shutoff in the service T. To do this, first remove the completion cap slowly, making sure there is no blowing of gas. Thread the extracting tool into the plug to support the walls. Then loosen the plug with an open-ended, smooth-jawed wrench. The extracting tool has a set of forks on the lower end. It also has left-handed threads on the top, which thread into the recessed threads inside the boring bar of the E5 machine. Now thread the extracting tool into the plug until it bottoms. Then back it up until you can lower the forks over the walls of the plug. Attach the control chamber with flop valve open over the extracting tool and tighten it onto the T. Place the bypass relief valve in the bypass position. Place the E5 machine on the control chamber and tighten. Do not use pipe wrenches to tighten. Only use smooth-jawed wrenches. Now, lower the boring bar until it contacts the extracting tool. Engage the feed yoke and tighten the thumb screw. Ratchet the machine handle in a counterclockwise direction. This will mate the extracting tool threads with the machine threads. Continue ratcheting the boring bar to extract the plug, rotating the yoke to follow it up and control piston action. When the boring bar is at its uppermost position, close the flop valve relieve pressure and remove the machine. Another method for extracting the completion plug uses an H-17500 completion machine. This machine has a crank handle, small stuffing box, shaft, and forks. To use the completion machine, first attach it to the control chamber. Hold the control chamber over the completion plug and thread the machine shaft into the plug until it bottoms out. Break the plug loose first, then back up the machine shaft until the forks will slide over the walls of the plug. Lower the control chamber onto the service tee and tighten. Place the bypass relief valve in the bypass position and rotate the machine handle counterclockwise. This will remove the plug from the tee. Retract the shaft to the uppermost position. Close the control chamber flop valve and place the bypass relief valve in relieve position to relieve the gas pressure. Now, remove the machine from the control chamber. The completion machine will be used again later to reinsert the plug, so the machine will be left attached to the plug. The E5 drilling machine and rubber shutoff tool will be used to make a stop-off in the T below the service outlet. A tool holder is needed to hold the shutoff tool. These items are listed in the gas catalog as optional parts of the toolkit. Check the condition of the threads of both the shutoff tool and the holder, and thread them together. Attach the assembled tool to the boring bar. Lubricate the rubber stopper with Mueller rubber stopper lubricant. The stopper is made of natural rubber, So do not apply any petroleum-based lubricants, which can dry out the rubber and cause it to crack. Retract the boring bar to the rearmost position and attach the machine to the control chamber using a smooth-jawed wrench. Place the bypass relief valve in the bypass position. Open the flop valve. And lower the stopper until it contacts the top of the main. Secure the yoke collar of the machine in place. And holding the ratchet handle still, expand the rubber shutoff tool by turning the feed yoke clockwise, slowly, half turns at a time. Pause between each half turn to give the rubber shutoff tool a chance to expand properly. The downward movement of the boring bar will compress the rubber stopper and make a stop-off in the lower part of the T between the inlet and outlet. The half turn and pause is necessary for a successful stop-off. Natural rubber has a memory and tends to cold flow, meaning it tends to shrink to its original form. The pause not only assures a good stop-off, but helps extend the life of the tool. Although there is no set number of turns or a maximum compression distance, keep track of the number of turns, as the information will be needed later to remove the tool. Here are a few things to keep in mind when using the shutoff tool. The maximum pressure rating of the tool with the control chamber is 125 psi. The minimum welding distance to the rubber stopper is 6 inches. If you must weld next to the T, Mueller offers a steel shutoff tool, which is rated for 1440 psi and allows for welding against it. If you use the steel shutoff tool, the drilled hole must be sized exactly. However, if you use the H-17500 stopping machine, which is rated at 125 psi, it will stop off holes sized from 3/4 inch to 1 1/4 inch. After repairs or replacement of the service line is complete, relax the rubber shutoff tool by turning the machine feed tube in half turns in a counterclockwise direction. Remember to hold the ratchet handle still. Again, pause between turns to allow the natural rubber to decompress. Relax the rubber the same number of turns as when it was expanded. Guide the stopper up out of the T carefully. Close the flop valve. Relieve the gas pressure. And remove the machine. Remove the rubber stopper from the boring bar. Clean and store properly. To insert the completion plug, use the completion machine. Engage the forks over the walls of the completion plug. Although the forks are not necessary to insert the plug, this allows the opportunity to retract the plug should it not install securely in the T. Place the completion machine on the control chamber. Turn the bypass relief valve to the bypass position. Open the flop valve and lower the plug onto the top of the T. Thread the completion plug into the T by rotating the machine handle clockwise. Test for plug tightness by turning the bypass relief valve to the relieve position. If gas flow is not continuous, the plug is secure enough to remove the machine. Remember, when inserting the plug, it should be snugged into place. A wrench will be used to give a plug a final tightening. Now unthread the control chamber from the T. Slide it up the shaft of the completion machine, exposing the forks. Raise the forks off the plug and tighten the plug with a smooth-jawed wrench. Remove the completion machine from the plug. Apply non-hardening pipe thread sealant to the outside T-threads. And tighten the completion cap, wrench tight. Test for any leaks. We have successfully completed a main service connection, a positive shutoff and repair, and insertion and extraction of the completion plug under pressure, with no flowing of gas to the atmosphere using the Mueller no-blow method.
This completes our training video on the installation or repair procedures using Mueller's H-17500 service tee. All of us at Mueller Company appreciate your interest in our products. For more information, please call our customer service center at 1-800-798-3131. This presentation is part of a continuing series of training and instructional videos from Mueller Company. Mueller instructional videos are to be used only as training aids. They are not intended to replace the operating instructions or repair manuals. All installation operations should be performed by properly trained personnel. Before beginning any no-blow installation or repair procedure, be sure to read, understand, and follow the operating instructions in the manual. And remember, always use genuine Mueller parts, and always use the appropriate safety equipment.